So if you've been keeping up with Nintendo news lately, you might know that Nintendo is doing another online playtest similar to the one that they did back in October, and while I wasn't able to get into the last playtest, thankfully I was able to get into this one, and I have been playing it for about 4 of the 5 hours now, and I wanted to give my thoughts on it. I know Nintendo said that you're technically not allowed to talk about it, but I am just gonna say that these are my hypothetical thoughts on it. This may or may not have happened, just possibly what is going on in the playtest. But basically, this is possibly the same game as the last playtest. And basically, you play as this caveman monkey-like character where you have this tail where you can pick up blocks, swing around, and this game takes place in one massive world, and it's kind of split up into different sections. You're kind of grouped with a group of people, and you have to completely develop an area out in that world. It's a really interesting concept, and I really like the gameplay loop so far. I know on the surface, if you've ever seen gameplay of this before, it looks a lot like Minecraft, but it's really not that much like Minecraft. I mean, there are some shared elements here, like with the fact that you can build, and I guess like some elements are similar, but I would say the structure is completely different. Like basically the main goal is to like light up areas with these things called dev stones and beacons. The dev stones are these blocks that you break, and they're basically one use, and they fill out a little bit of the area. And before you fill out an area, it kind of has like just nothing, like completely useless blocks that you can't use. Some can even harm you if you step on it. But once you fill it out, they turn into blocks that you could actually use. Like trees, stone, like ore. I know it's sounding a lot like Minecraft, but trust me, it's different enough. But you could use those materials to basically build up a tower for your beacon, and basically the beacon is a permanent object that kind of expands your territory and also lights up the area. And I think within your like beacon range, like only you can like do stuff in there. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you've played the playtest, and just make sure it's your hypothetical correction about about whether or not you can kind of place things or do anything in someone else's beacon, but it's pretty interesting with how it works. And I've found that building the tower up to put your beacon on it is actually really satisfying, because you can't just build like straight up and just kind of do what you do in Minecraft and just like place things randomly, because there is gravity here. The physics are a lot different than Minecraft. So you kind of have to balance your tower and make sure it's stable when you're putting something on top of it, because sometimes when you get up to a certain point and there isn't like any stability for like a certain layer of your platform, it will start to fall apart, or it will basically indicate to you that it's about to fall apart. So you kind of have to have more strategy when building your tower here. So there are like a lot of different things you can do, like on top of like the blocks that kind of spawn throughout the world and different like objects like trees and things. There are also like these other blocks that can help you, like stairs and then a platform or a pillar. These are really helpful when building the tower, and I think it's pretty cool that you could kind of go out and search for them. Like usually they're hidden under like a kind of a chunk of blocks, because sometimes the blocks are grouped together, because there's a mechanic in this game called fuse. Like I know it sounds similar to Tears of the Kingdom, but I guess it kind of is in a way. But like it basically fuses blocks together, and sometimes like there's naturally forming blocks that fuse together, so you can kind of pull that out of the ground and like find one of those like kind of important pieces that you could use. And there's also like different mechanics as well with some of the blocks. Like there's seeds and sprouts that kind of like spawn in different places, and you can bring that up to the top of your tower, and then you can put this other block that kind of spawns water out of it, and you could break that block, and that will cause the sprout to grow. So there's a lot of really cool little mechanics to learn in here, and it definitely helps to, like, kind of build towards your goal here. So it's just really fun and really satisfying. And also the movement is just really fun as well. Like, kind of swinging around with your tail is just really fun. It's almost like a kind of like a Spider-Man-esque mechanic there, where you can kind of like swing around between like different like platforms and things. It's really fun. And there's also combat in the game too, like different enemies spawn. You could like throw like blocks at them. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Donkey Kong Bonanza a little bit, or where you could kind of like throw blocks at them, or like you could just like straight up punch them as well. So there's quite a lot to do. Like, also like a lot of things that you can collect as well. Just a ton of things to do in this world. I know when you're kind of an outsider looking in to this playtest, it seems like it's just kind of aimless and you don't really know what to do. But like, once you get into it and actually play it, like, there is a goal, but you also just kind of like just do whatever you want, basically. And I mean, I guess you could also basically do whatever you want to get to the goal as well. It's just, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do, and I would say this is definitely the most freedom that Nintendo has given you in a game before. I would say the only other game that is comparable to this in terms of like the freedom that Nintendo gives you is probably Game Builder Garage, I would say. And I think coincidentally, this, or not really coincidentally, because there are like a lot of features that are kind of similar to Game Builder Garage, but I think this is developed by the same team as Game Builder Garage, because, like, there are a lot of other things that you can do that are kind of more customizable as well. Like, you can actually make your own player models, which is really cool. And that's kind of one thing that I noticed in the hub world there. I saw, like, just, like King K. Rool, Pianta, Bender from Futurama, Sonic, Toad, Shy Guy. Like, there are just, like, a ton of different, like, things that people have made, and it's really cool, and some of them are really funny. So I haven't explored all the things that you can do in the hub world, but it's pretty interesting. And when you're building up like the tower more, like with your beacon and making progress, you also get like dev points as well. I think they're called dev points, but it basically allows you to like upgrade your character in the game. Like, you can upgrade like the tools and weapons that you have. I forgot to mention there are weapons and like different things. Like, like when you use your beacon, you can use like a crane or like a thing to move around blocks. It's crazy the amount of things you could do here, but you can upgrade those abilities, like, if you're in the hub world there. So it's really interesting, and it definitely kind of makes sense that the Game Builder Garage devs made this with, I think, EPD4, because EPD4 likes to make a lot of like really interesting and creative games. Like, some of the people who have worked on like who are working at EPD4 now and have worked on things like Game Builder Garage, Ring Fit Adventure, in the online playtest, have also like worked on like some really like older things, like the Mario Artist games on the Nintendo 64 DD, kind of things like that. Honestly, the playtest kind of gives me like Nintendo 64 DD vibes. I don't know what it is like about it, but it kind of reminds me of those like very experimental games that Nintendo made back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It reminds me quite a lot of that. And even the music as well gives me like heavy Wii DS era vibes, I would say. It's like not music you would expect to hear in like this current era of Nintendo. It sounds kind of like classic 2000s, early 2010s era Nintendo. But it's really interesting, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I really hope they actually release this as a game at some point. I hope it's not just like a test for another game. Like, because this has a lot of potential. Like, I mean, the only game I could see them possibly like adapting this into, and I've seen other people speculate about this before, but Animal Crossing, I could see that possibly. But I mean, this game also has like survival elements to it as well, like with the enemies, and you kind of have to expand an area. So I do think this probably is going to be its own thing, and I feel like this is just kind of like the beta, like, for it, because I know some online games actually do like beta runs and beta testing first, like with like a lot of people online. So but I think the online playtest is like Nintendo's own version of that. It's like Nintendo's own early access, I would say. It might be something like that, but it's in a more Nintendo-esque way where they actually made it into more of like a secretive playtest. That kind of seems like a very Nintendo way of making like an early access into like something else. So I don't know. I really hope this is going to be an actual game, because there seems to be so much effort that was put into this. So yeah, I just really hope this becomes a thing. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!